Hey everybody, this is Alex Merced from AlexMercedCoder.dev. And in this video, what I want to do is talk about HTTP clients and HTTP servers, and just kind of appreciating like the difference between the two. Okay, so when you're doing back-end development, so if you're a developer and you're writing a back-end application, what you're doing is you're creating what's called a server. Okay, and essentially what it is that computers can talk to each other. So every computer has this protocol built in. Okay, and a protocol just means like a standard. So essentially when they were designing how computers works, they had to come up with standards. So that way one computer knows how another computer is going to work. So there's a standard on how computers communicate with each other, which is called TCP/IP, Transmission Control Protocol, TCP/IP. Okay, so essentially what happens is that every computer uses this protocol. And essentially what this means is that every computer can send messages to other computers, which are generally just basically, it's just data. Just data like that you could save to a file, data like you can send anywhere. But the question is like, the things that these standards have are like how do I know what computer is what? So this is where like the idea of an IP address comes from, your internet protocol address. Okay? So again, you see right there, internet protocol, your IP address. Okay, so every computer generally has a individual IP address. So like actually like every computer, the computer you are literally on always has the IP address 127.0.01. That's literally points to the computer that you're on. But to the internet, the interconnected network, the internet of computers that are all connected to each other, every computer has a little address. That's so oftentimes many numbers, called an IP address. Now what happens is that no one would remember all these IP addresses. Like I wouldn't remember like 345.329.545. I wouldn't remember these numbers. So what they did is they said, okay, how about we gently map these numbers to physical names that people would recognize, like Google. Okay? And this became known as the Domain Name System, DNS. So basically DNS are all these computers, these servers out there that actually are like a big phone book that actually lists, okay, so this name points to this IP address. These are called your DNS entries. So when I type in google.com, the actual address for the computer that would handle a request for google.com is there. So I was going to say google.com points to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay? But the idea is that it's an IP address points to the computer. So an IP address actually says the specific computer that you're sending a message to. But think of a computer kind of like a state. Just because I send like a letter to like New York, well, there's a lot of places in New York, okay? So addresses can get more specific. So every computer has like about 65,000 possible little locations you can send it to. These are referred to as IP ports, okay? And generally the highest number can be like, so essentially like, for example, if I were writing this out, like an IP address would be something like, 352.678.925, some, whatever number, 0.1, let's say. And then I would say, hey, that's the computer I want to send a message to. And then I would say, hey, I send it to port 4000 because I know there is a piece of software on that computer running on that computer listening for any message sent to that address. Okay? That piece of software listening for messages being sent to that address is called a server. Okay? It's listening for requests. And any software that sends messages is referred to as a client. Okay? So that's essentially how the internet works, or generally how all inter-computer communication works. So all messages being sent over IP. But when it comes to the internet, there's a standard for how these messages look like called HTTP. So we have the standard for how computers talk to each other. That's TCP/IP. Think of that like the post office. So the post office is the standard way that letters get sent in the United States. But again, there's also a standard to how you write a letter. Like the idea, like, there's the body of the letter, you write like the D at the top and the signature at the bottom, and you put like your the return address over here in like the upper left. There's sort of like a standard that you expect the letter to be written. The equivalent for internet messages is called HTTP, the Hypertext Transfer Protocol. So every time you send a HTTP message, it looks in a particular way. So generally they're literally just text messages that just look like this. You never write one, because that's what your client does for you. So when you use a client that you use every day is an internet browser. It's just one example of an HTTP client. Every time I type in google.com into my internet browser, it is writing up a message like this and then sending it out to DNS to figure out, hey, where's the computer that I asked to send this message to, and routing it to the right place. In the same way, when I send a letter out, there's this whole process that happens to get my letter, if I send a letter to California, it gets there after going through this whole process called the post office. Okay? So it's the same story here. Okay, so generally you can see how it's broken up. Like at the top, there's always a status line that tells you like, hey, what is the protocol? What is the status you're asking for? Because there's always like a status like, hey, did this letter arrive fine, or is there something wrong with this? Then there's all these headers, which is all this sort of metadata that can be used for interpreting the message. And then there's the body, the actual content of the message, which is like this. See, there's like a line break that separates the body from the headers. Okay, again, you never have to write these messages if you're a developer most of the time, because the tools we have handle this. But understanding this process makes it much easier. Okay, so as you can see here, a browser HTTP client sends a request, okay, and then an HTTP server receives a request and sends a response. Okay, so but again, browsers aren't the only HTTP client. Okay, and the reason why that's important is because whenever I type in, like if I go to like google.com here, this makes one particular type of request called a GET request. But servers can do a lot more than just GET requests. They could do POST requests, PUT requests, delete requests, options requests, patch requests. There's a whole bunch of them. Okay, these are referred to as HTTP verbs. So in those HTTP messages, you can put a verb that describes that basically allows a server to kind of interpret what's the intention. Okay, so you can see like the main ones are those, but like let me just get the full list. HTTP verbs. Anyway, got the full list. It's like a whole bunch of them. Here's a good list. Right there. So here's like that's a full list of all the possible HTTP verbs. Okay. If you're a developer, you'll probably 90% of the time never have to touch 90% of these. Again, because a lot of the more unique ones that come up in certain situations, they're going to be built into the tooling you're using, so they'll be used without you having to think about it. Other than like the bread and butter ones, which are like the get, the post, the put, the patch, which represent generally your everyday requests. So for example, this website here, JSON placeholder, has like a dummy server, that we can send requests to. Okay, so for example, there's a URL here. This is a URL to one of their pages. And when I take this URL and I put it in the browser, that's the URL. So I know where I'm sending what am I requesting, but there's no way for me to specify get, post, put, what kind of request I want to send. Well, by default, a browser will always send a get request. Okay, which gets me my result here, but there are other things that this will let me do. Like if I read through this, there's actually other things I can do. I can actually send, a post request to here, but I can't do that in the browser. So how am I supposed to actually do that? That's where you get special HTTP client software from. Okay, once upon a time, there was really only one option. It was called curl. Okay, so actually here, let me shut that off. Okay, curl. And curl is actually like terminal software. Okay, and what curl does, it lets you make a request. So I could just do like if I just again take this URL here, I can go here and just type in curl and then literally post the URL. And since I didn't specify a method, it's going to automatically make a GET request, just kind of like the browser does. Okay, and see, it gets back the response. Okay, and then prints it out to the, like if I were to type in like JSON placeholder, like this JSON placeholder website. Okay, and then go back to curl and do that. See, this URL is going to return me back the HTML for that page, and that should be what I see. So it's going to print out the actual HTML, because that's the actual response. Okay, the actual response from the website is this text. You never see this because the browser is designed to understand that the response is HTML and interprets the HTML and prints it as like a website that you see. But again, curl is not a browser. It's not designed to render that HTML for you. So I actually see the raw message. I can actually see this raw response here of all this HTML that came back from going to that website. So curl is like a browser in a sense. And with curl, I could test out other types of requests. So like if I wanted to do a post request, so curl post requests syntax. So like let's see here, how to perform a post request using curl. It's not the simplest thing in the world. This is why a lot of people really don't like necessarily using curl. See, I use this -x flag to say, hey, I'm doing a post request, and you can start putting in some information. So you can see like I can start building out a message in terminal using curl. Okay, which is great when you have no other choice. So if you're working with like, you're SSHing into a web server which doesn't have a graphical user interface, so all you have is terminal, curl is going to be a lifesaver for you to do tests and things that, but a lot of people would prefer a piece of software that makes this much easier. That's where you have pieces of software like Postman. Okay, so let's try some of those out. So I can open up Postman through my terminal just because that's the way I have it set up on my computer. So I'm opening up this piece of software called Postman. Postman is also an HTTP client, meaning it's another piece of software like the browser that allows me to send HTTP requests. That's what Postman does. Okay, and so literally like what I'm doing here is I can go in here, I can type in the URL I want to send the request to. So let me go back and get that URL from JSON placeholder. Okay, so they say, hey, I can send a post to posts. Okay, let's see a guide for an example. Creating a resource, here we go. So here this shows an example, we can kind of interpolate. So I need to send it to this URL to do a post. Okay, and then I need to send an object. I need to send data that looks like this. Okay, so that's the story there. Okay, so let me open up Postman, which is right over here. Okay, so I put in the URL. I say, hey, I want to make a post request. And I want to send data, which is part of the request body. Okay, so the headers are generally going to be pre-done for you. So in that case, it has to match what we saw on that page. Let me go back and copy that. Okay. And this is referred to as a JSON string. Okay, but I gotta fix the syntax, make it JSON, which means this is all gotta be quotes, 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 and these are gotta be double quotes. Make it proper JSON. There we go. And then it's complaining about this trailing comma here. I think we're good. And why doesn't, oh, there's an extra apostrophe there. There we go. So now we got some properly formed JSON. So this is a properly formed JSON string. So I'm saying, hey, send a post request to this URL and send this body. Now when I hit send, see it says it's successful and I get ID 101. Okay, that's a successful result. Now again, there is no such thing as /cheese. That's not a real page, so I should get back what's called a 40. So if I look here, this I got a 201 status, which means it was A-OK. But if I send it to a website that doesn't exist, I'm gonna get a 404, which means that page doesn't exist. See, I get a 404 because there's no such URL. That server didn't know how to respond to that request. So that's what an HTTP client does, okay? So the software like Postman is just for testing routes because when you're a developer, again, the browser is not going to help you to do requests for like post, put, patch. And the problem with that is I don't want to have to write all, I could do it with my code, but I don't want to have to write out my whole application just to see if my front-end application, just to see, hey, if this is route to work for my back-end application. Okay, that'd be a lot of work to find out, hey, now I got to go rewrite the whole thing. So generally, the usefulness of this is that I can test these things out before I write way too much code. But there's a couple other really popular ones like Insomnia. Insomnia works the same way. So again, I can put the URL over here. Okay, oops. I mean, I can put the URL there, and then I can go put the body over here. So I can go like, drop the body there. Just literally like Postman. And then in VS Code, there's an extension called Thunderclient. That's really popular. Okay, and then Thunderclient is going to have, see, like I have Thunderclient right here. And I can go create a new request. And just like Postman, I can go put the URL. I can change, hey, was it a post, put, or delete request? and then I can go, put in my JSON body here. It works the same way. But that's the idea behind a HTTP client software like Postman, Insomnia, Thunderclient. The purpose is to make it easier to test those routes when you're doing a backend application. So hopefully you guys enjoy this, and it makes it clear why people use things like Postman, Insomnia, and Thunderclient, and what's going on with how the internet works. My name is Alex Merced from AlexMercedCoder.dev. Have a great day and enjoy.